Hello, I'm Mark. Welcome back to Three Bridges. So a couple of weeks ago, I sort of showed you how I was doing the next part of the layout with the various points and point levers and stuff like that. And that also got me thinking about how I'd indicate what my points were doing. So I thought I'd like to have some signals on my layout. So I'm going to show you how I went about making my own signals with a few bits that you can buy online. So I'll just turn back the clock and show you what I've been up to. So this section of the layout, I've basically got West Coast line, so I've got an up and a down, and I'm going to be able to have goods traffic cut across. It goes across a viaduct bridge, and it basically goes onto a goods line into London. So this becomes bi-directional, and then I've got my Chiltern up and down line, which is mainly passenger, and again I have the option of a third line that goes into Aylesbury, where the Chiltern line goes into. So there's a single up and down line, and so passenger trains can also cut back across onto the Chiltern line to go into London. And obviously I can send goods traffic from London up to Aylesbury on the Risborough line. So there's various bits of things happening. So the main points will be set so that my West Coast line and my Chiltern line are just flowing through normally, and it's only when I want to move trains across that I need to obviously change the points and have the signals indicating various things happening. Now, in the way I've designed the layout, so everything on this part of the layout is DC, but I'm going to have obviously DC control for the West Coast line up and down, the Chiltern line up and down, and then there'll be a separate power for the Risborough line and for the goods line. And in order to change over from one power control to the other, I'm going to basically stop my trains either on the viaduct bridge or on these two lines here, and then change the points, and basically the power then will come from a new source. So I've just drawn in where my sort of red stop, green go signals will be on the layout as I need them. So typically this one will always be green, and obviously only if I'm bringing traffic across and onto the viaduct would it obviously go red. And the same on the viaduct, either end, it's always going to be just green or red. Same on these two bits of track here where you sort of stop the trains before you change over the power control, so they always have green and red on the end. And then the only other one is on my Chiltern up line, so again it has to have, it's normally a bit green, but it will have a red stop if I'm bringing traffic from the Risborough line across. Okay, so for the other four signals that I need, so this sort of style, so you've obviously got the car lights indicating what's happening, and then there's a feather board going left or right. Okay, so this is what I came up with. So just a simple signal. So obviously majority of them, there's 8 of these to make, they're just the red and the green lights, and I've got obviously the post, little ladder up the back, and then I've tried to sort of make a simple, very simple safety frame around the lights. So it's made out of brass bar, bits of plastic, some Western Wagon Works ladder, and then I've got some diodes. And then for the other one where I've got the feather board on top, so that'll be with the white lights, so I've got 3 white diodes, and then I've either got 2 lights underneath it, or then some options there'll be the 3 lights. So this one's with the red and the orange where you're turning, but you know that the next signal is going to be a stop, and the other option is for the red, orange and green. So I'll show you how I make one of each. Okay, so if you're wondering why I'm making my own signals, I appreciate there are some beautiful ready-made signals that you can buy that are sort of fully automated, and you can do through train controller, or they'll detect movement on the track and change automatically. So for this part of the layout, it's very sort of manually operated. It's just an end-to-end. My trains don't go very far before I need to do something, so it's not much hardship for me to be changing the points with the mechanical levers, or in fact changing the signals with some switches. The second reason is the lovely new sort of dipole and whatever. They're not cheap, and at the moment my priority is wood for my framework and buying the track, and everything else I'm just trying to work out ways to do it a bit cheaper. Okay, so what have I been using? So I've got a pack of 10 diodes, red and green, and the corresponding resistors. So I run everything at 3 volts. So, but I'll use those just to dim the lights down a bit, it's a bit bright. And then the red green obviously come with a little housing for the 2 lights, and then I've also got a pack of 10 of the ones with the housing, like the normal traffic light, red, amber, green. And I've also got some white diodes left over from one of my kids' projects from school. I've had to buy some brass tubing, so I've got some 3 and 4 millimeter diameter brass tubing, and also got some 20 millimeter diameter wide brass bar. I'll put a link into the guy that supplies those in the UK. So they supply modelling and steam engine, and they have loads of different materials. They're really good and very efficient at delivering quickly. I have a load of heat shrink, so I bought 3 meters of this for £4, so that'll keep me going for a while. On the free stuff, I need a coffee stirring stick. These are the leftover supports from some trackside cable crossings from Tim Surf. So I'll be reusing those to make the barrier around the top of the signal. And then for all the wiring, I never threw anything away like most blokes. This is from an old mouse, so I'll be stripping that down. That's got all the cables I need to do the wiring. And then I've got a bit of rail match grey and some black. Okay, so I'll start with the red and green. So as you can see, I've just pushed them through. So if you're not familiar with diodes, the longer one is the positive, the way to check. So I just use a little 3 volt lithium battery. You slide it in between the 2, and you can check that they're both working. Obviously if you put it in the other way around, they don't work. So what I'm going to do now, so because I've got to solder the wires to this, with the plastic and the back of the diode, it's a bit fragile with the heat, the soldering wire. So what I'm going to do is just going to make a little wooden board that these diode prongs are going to fit through, and then I can bend them around it, and it will just protect the diodes and the plastic from the soldering iron. So I'll do that and I'll show you what I've done. Just roughly marked up by eye where the 4 prongs will go through, and then distance, and then I'll just drill holes through. So I've got a little drill that's just slightly bigger than the diode prong. Okay, so 4 holes drilled through, and the diodes are pushed through. So what I'm going to do, I'll cut the wooden board just below the light housing. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bend the negative ones down. And I'll be using those to help support this inside the brass tube. So they're going to go down, and they'll get soldered together with negative wire. And then for the red and the green, I'll bend the red one down first. Okay, and then with the green one, I'm just going to snip it about 3 or 4 millimeters long. So next bit is the wire. So I just need enough wire. I'll show you one of the other ones. I just need enough wire so it's going to run from the lights through tube and then under the deck, so that I've got enough that I can wire to. So I have got, it's about 12 to 15 centimeters of wire. Okay, so just aimed at the top. I'm just going to pull the wire out. And then I'm just going to strip away the foil shielding. Don't need that. And then with this one, you get 4 wires and an earth strand, I presume. So I'll keep that. That'll come in useful for doing like trackside cabling. So what I'll do is, just to make it easier, I'm going to discard the white one for now. And I use the red, black and green, so I'm just going to strip the ends. Okay, I've no idea what gauge these wires are, but they'll be suitable for the lights for a short distance. So what I'm going to do, I just, see if I can show you, it's not easy. I basically just put one blade on top of the wire gently, and I'm just going to sort of spin the wire with the blade on, and it just nicks the sheathing. And then with a bit of encouragement, I can pull the sheathing off without cutting through the strands, because there's only about 6 strands. Twist them around, and then they're ready for tinning. So I'll do that to the other 3 wires. Okay, so each to their own. I use 60/40 tin lead solder with a bit of flux. I've dipped the end in a bit of flux just to help, and then I'm just going to tin the ends. So all wires have got a tinned end. And I set the soldering iron to 350. So what I'll do first, I'll solder the negative wire, so the black wire, to the 2 negative terminals. Okay, so tin them. So after each step, I just check with the battery that I've still got a good connection. So there's the plus. You can see I've still got the red light going. Now I've just put some heat shrink on and heat shrink on. So next I'll connect the red wire to the red positive, and then I'll put some heat shrink on that just to protect it. I'll chop this down a little bit just so that the heat shrink and everything sits it neatly, but I still want it 10-15 millimeters long, so it just fits inside the post. As before, I'll just double check everything's still working fine. With the battery, so it's red. And the green. So I just popped a couple of bits of heat shrink on the green and the red, just so that don't short out. So that's what I'm going to end up with. So all 3 wires are connected up. Got a bit of heat shrink just to insulate them, and they're all ready to slide onto my brush tube. To just tidy it up, I've taken another piece of heat shrink, cut a slot out of it, and what I'm going to do, I'm just going to slide it up with the bit that's still solid at the bottom, and then slide the slot round the wooden post. It just sort of creates like a shroud, just makes it a bit easier from a distance. And then again, just and then anything else that's sort of exposed, I'll just a bit of black paint. Right. So very quickly, to make the post, actually what I'm trying to make is something like this. So for the red green, I've just got this 3.5mm diameter brass tubing. You could use a straw, metal straw, plastic straws if you can still get them. It's just, I just wanted something that was a bit more rigid so that it didn't break quite easily if I hit it by accident. So I've cut, what's the length? It's about 11 centimeters long. I just want enough so that it will sit above the board from this bottom plate, and then there's enough to go through so it will hold firmly in a hole through the base board, and so also for the wires to feed through. And then to make the bottom and the top, I've really just taken some flat bar. So I've chopped a couple of pieces. One's just narrower than the other. Dimensions aren't accurate. It's whatever you want. Drill through the hole corresponds to brass tubing. So this one's got 3.5mm hole. This one's got a 4mm hole. So I'll be using that for the point with the feather, because I need a slightly thicker tubing for that one. There's more wires. They're quite a tight fit. I haven't needed to solder them on. I could do, by the time I've painted it, it will be fairly fixed. So slip those both on. As you can see at the moment, I haven't added any resistors. I'm going to add those to the bottom of these wires, and then this should, if I've shrunk it down enough, right, so I've squeezed it down so you can see point facing forward, got it at a slight angle. Tidy that up afterwards. Again, I will check the battery. Just be really irritating to discover you've broken a wire at this point. Yep. Okay. So the last bit is going to be paint the whole thing up in the rail match. Classic Blue Peter is one I did earlier. So I just paint that up in the rail match grey, and I'll attach one of the Westall Wagon Work ladders just to the back. So I just pop that on there, a bit of glue, and then I've just made a little simple framework out of 3 bits of rod to go around, paint the whole thing up in black, so the top part's black. Touched up any exposed wood that I can see on the top here. So you can see with this one, I didn't have as much heat shrink on the back. You still see the wires and there, and the stick. So again, they're all painted black. With this one, I've gone for more of a shrouding. Obviously up close, you can see it. When they're on the layout, sort of a metre away, you won't notice it so much. Right, for the second example, so I'll go back to the other one I've got with the featherboard on top. So I'll show you how I put this together. Right, so with the red, amber, green at the bottom, I've done exactly the same before. I've got a stirring stick, drilled the holes through just to help secure it, bent the pins back, so they're all the negative pins, and that's just holding there. That's where it's going to be trimmed at the bottom. And at the moment at the top, I've just left it longer because I'm going to need to trim that to suit the angle. I'll show you what I mean in a minute. And then with the white one for the feather, it's exactly the same. So I've put 3 diodes at a similar size into one of the traffic light blocks, and obviously tested everything. They're all white, the same arrangement. Okay, so what I need to do is to angle this left or right above this one. Obviously, the important bit to remember is, are you going left or right? So with this one I want it to go left. So what I'm going to do, I'll use a bit more of the stick just to get the position right. So I just use some snips to just trim back the wooden sticks to roughly the position I want. I'm just holding it with some tweezers, but that's basically the angle I'm sort of going for. So what I'll do is I will use, because I've got these extra bits of the wooden stick, I'll glue the two parts together using the stick behind. Not the prettiest soldering, but I'm there. So I've used one of the white wires to attach to the white lights at the top, so that's the positive feed in, and when they come on, the orange light in the middle needs to come on as well. So as I said, I'm using some of the old rapid prototyping supports that you get from Tim Surf track cabling. So just chop bits up, glue them together to make the railings, and then they sort of glue onto the side. And then I've got the ladder on the back, so this one's sort of just need to paint up the railings, and I'll touch up anything from the top bit in black that's sort of still exposed. And where's my, so that's the new one I've made with the feather. So again, just need to touch the railings. Okay, so I've got the last one made and wired up, and I've fit some resistors just so that the brightness of the lights is a bit better and more natural. So I worked out roughly the one with the two lights about 180 to make, and then the one with the feathered boards is about 250. So all I need to do now is sort out a control panel with some switches, and when I finally sort out the scenics for that part of the layout and everything else, I can slot them in place. Anyway, it was good fun to make them. I quite enjoyed it. Just doing something different for a bit. Well, with that, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and maybe I'll catch you next time. Cheers.